afternoon to everyone. Dear colleagues, I will present my presentation for increasing number of cases of acute enterocolitis in Bogovinje. Bogovinje is a mountain village hard to reach in the western part of the Republic of Macedonia with population of 1,650. From 2005 to 2015, there have been annual average of 41.5 cases in Central Public Health Tetova. From these, 5% of the registered cases were from Bogovinje. From 27 to 29 May, Central Public Health received increasing number of reported cases of acute enterocolitis from the village Bogovinje. The local epidemiologists interviewed the first cases, and also the rainfall and the local floods happened 3 days before the first cases, and this is the reason that the drinking water supply system suspect as common exposure. The Institute of Public Health on 29 May received a phone notification from Central Public Health Tetova. And on 30 May, the outbreak investigation team was formed and did formative research among patients currently at the GPS office. Our objective, we investigate the increasing number of cases to identify the risk factor, to implement control measures, and also for the future to provide recommendation for prevention. We conduct a retrospective cohort study. A case was defined as a person having diarrhea and nausea or vomiting after 27 May, living in Bogovinje. The sample size was calculated in EpiInfo. We randomly select 69 people from the GPS registry in Bogovinje, and during the investigation we collect data from the GPS part of a formative research. After the outbreak, we developed the instruction and questionnaire, and we collect data by using a telephone interview. Also, during in-field investigation, we took a sample from the water supply system, and also stool from the cases was taken for microbiology analysis. After we collected data, we calculate attack rate and relative risk for each food item and water by using EpiInfo. Here is some photo from our field investigation. We inspect water supply station in those photos. We select 69. 49 to respond, with response rate 71%. 29 from the total number responded met the case definition, 59.2%. Male to female duration, 2.2/1. Age distribution from the detected cases range from 5 to 78 years, with mean age 27.9. In this graph, we can see that the most of the registered cases had onset of the symptoms on the same date, in 31 May. This was also identified as the peak of the outbreak. There were no more registered cases after 1st June. In this graph, we have distribution of cases by age and gender, and we can see that the male were 69% comparing to the female 31%. The most affected age group was 0 to 14 with 37.9, and followed by age group 50 to 29 with 31%. In this graph, we see that the most of the cases have diarrhea, vomiting, nausea, but also abdominal cramps and fever were detected. This is a table with products that we found to be the most consumed by people during the formative research. And also the food items was distribution and sold in one store in the village. And we can see that we find only significant significant relative risk of 6.3 for water from the local water supply system. And after three consecutive days sample of the drinking water, the results were negative for common bacterial pathogen. Also for the feces from cases was negative on bacterial pathogen flora. For the conclusion, the epidemic curve indicates point source outbreak, also significant rainfall and local floods happening, and this is the reason that local water supply suspect is possible source of the outbreak. And the third, water from local supply system had statistically significant relative risk while calculating the effect of exposure. For the limitation, we had 3 limitations in our study: lack of lab capacity for viral investigation of water supply because no virologic investigation was performed in the lab, and also small sample size with refusal, which were hard to replace, and samples from the food were not taken. For recommendation, to introduce lab capacity for viral investigation of water supplies, both level in regional and national, to collect food samples for the microbiologic analysis. Also, in the region with a potential risk for an outbreak, education should be provided and adapted to the local population. And for this reason, we need to establish a protocol for outbreak investigation as a practical tool for improvement of field investigation. Thanks to my team involved in this outbreak, and thank you for your attention.
Thank you very much, Largime. Do you have any questions?
In the sample size calculation, you told you calculated the sample size in AP Info.
We calculate in, I can show you. We calculate in MP Info with confidence level 95%.
What's the sample size?
95%, duration, exposure 1%, if of outcoming exposure group.
It's okay.
Okay, you understand. Okay.
No, just I'm asking. So in the next line, you are telling you are randomly selecting the cases, 69.
Yes, we
So
randomly
I
select
was,
69. Because it's mountain village, it's very hard to reach. Also, they are not very communication, and they don't have also, most of them don't have a phone. And the total number of the population is 1,650. But also I can say it's the number from the last census, which is done in 2002. Most of the population are immigrated.
It's okay. Yeah, so from your it's okay. So from your analysis, I understand that it is a cohort study with relative risk. But what was the hypothesis? Like, how did you come to know that the local water supply was the reason for that? Like, was there any data to narrow down your investigation or to your hypothesis to that level?
Can you repeat the question? I didn't understand.
Your study design seemed to be cohort study.
Yes, cohort study. Yeah.
Okay. Was there any hypothesis? Like when we arrive at a hypothesis
to investigate the relative risk, we conduct the study, cohort study.
Okay.
Vincent?
Thank you very much. My question is a little bit related to that. Why did you choose cohort design and not case control in this case?
Because it's the same answer, because we wanted to investigate the risk factors.
My question is a very nice presentation. My question is which organism have you isolated through laboratory?
Which
organism?
Which?
Microbes.
Oh, with microbiologic pathogen? Okay, usually Salmonella, Staphylococcus aureus. We usually come bacterial pathogen for this.
So you have find this through laboratory?
No, we didn't find. Yeah, no, we didn't find. The results were negative for those common bacterial pathogens. We usually tested for those.
Thank you for your presentation. Maybe I have missed that part. I would like to have more clarification regarding your sampling frame. What was this GP registry and
GP registry,
how accurate was that registry?
All the people in Macedonia have the personal medical doctor. Mm-hmm. And the medical doctor also have the information for the patient. And in this village, only one doctor, only one ambulance is in this village, and the GP office have information about all the village, all the population in that village. This is the reason that we choose to take the phone number from the GP's office.
So there was no room for non-inclusion bias or something like that. Okay, thank you.
Yes.
Other questions?
Here.
Thanks for the presentation. I will ask you why the increasing number of cases and we don't declare for the outbreak.
Because during in our field investigation, we advised the local epidemiology to declare the outbreak according to the law, but we can only advise but not obligate. But in the end, for the politic issue, the outbreak was not declared. Thank you for your question.
Other questions from the floor? I have one. So a small one. Did you coordinate with the water supply?
Yeah.
So do you have, because usually water supply authorities have to do monitoring of the water. Did you check with them what was the result of their monitoring?
The results were negative for the common bacterial.
I would like just to suggest you, because you chose sample and you didn't take into consideration the response rate. So especially if you have a population that is not ready to cooperate, you always need to take these things because you were on the limits. It could be sometimes that it is not statistically significant, you know, because response rate was 70%, but everything was...
But yes, but I
but we
already
did-
explained that
Yeah,
why.
good, good.
Other comments or questions? So thank you very much, Largime.
Thank you, thank you.